Hello, Disconnected fans. I am James, and I'm back for the first of our spotlights. And today we'll be going through the founder spotlight. Who is the founder of Disconnected? Why did he make the organisation? We will be finding out all of those important questions and answers here tonight. Also, it's a new channel, so feel free to drop a subscription. That'll be much appreciated, and drop a like as well for more Disconnected content in the future, which includes the likes of our player spotlights, because we want to know a little bit more about them. So let's introduce our founder. He is a man that calls himself a living animal. Yes, I know. It's it's none other than BTEC Turtle, aka Darren. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for being here, Darren, and obviously answering the questions that the viewers want to know. So let's start off with a bit about you. Can you tell our viewers more about yourself?
I'm 21, from the West Midlands. Always been into eSports. Ever since I was I've been competing on pro clubs since I was probably 14. Since 2014, so it's been a long time. 6 years I've been competing in pro clubs.
And what made you want to found the organisation?
So it all started off as a little bit of a joke, to be completely honest with you. My friends are really good at like Rocket League and Madden, so they were sort of like, we always joked about making a team called DC because we always used to disconnect on Rocket League. I know, sad, but that's where it all sort of started. With them, it was quite funny because he ended up getting really, really good at Rocket League. He's like grand champion and, crazy good, and I was always in like Diamond. Then Madden, the person that competes is called Lawson. He was a top 100 player. We always used to play Siege together. And that's how it all sort of started. We were just a group in Siege, but had ambitions of them being, they were really good at their games. Not so much me, but they were. So we thought how we could all come together and start something, and that's sort of how Disconnected was born in a way.
So you took the leadership of creating the founder of Disconnected, I'm guessing.
Exactly, yeah. They were the players, and I sort of went, well, I need to do something. I can't just sit here and not be a part of this, so...
And here we are today. Okay, so what games do Disconnected really go over? You talk about there more about Rocket League and Madden, but I'm hearing FIFA as well as a really, really big part of Disconnected.
Yeah, FIFA's probably the main part of Disconnected now. We still have Lawson on the roster. I'm hoping to bring Hendo, who's a Rocket League player, back on, but Rocket League's had its ups and downs recently. We are still competing, but not as frequently. But yeah, FIFA has been huge, pro clubs and Ultimate Team.
Amazing. So let's go into a little bit more about the players. How did you come across, obviously you said you were really good friends with Lawson for the Madden community, but obviously FIFA's a completely different community. Yes, it's gaming and all of that, but you have to really recruit these players. What goes into the recruitment side of Disconnected? How do you join?
With the FUT side, again, I knew Saber, for example, who's one of the players through Entice. Moving on there to Wit, because Wit's very good friends with Saber, and they competed at E-Prem together, and that's how I got in touch with Wit, who's now the head of FUT.
So obviously Disconnected has a range of different players. What made you pick those type of players? And obviously, it would be a little birdie here. These were very competitive players. They were possibly connected to other organisations. So what made you approach them, and also why did they join Disconnected? Bit of a spicy question for you there, Turtle.
No, that is interesting, actually. Again, starting out from just knowing Saber, who's one of the first players on the Disconnected FUT roster, and introduced us to Wit, who's now the head of FUT. When we first started, we had an academy, which was just players that we thought were up and coming, and we had that was all it was at the start. And then since then, for this FIFA, we always had the intention to develop a main team side, a main team roster, if you will. And that's how we got on board with sort of Mikey, who's and a part of the academy previously. He had interest from other organisations, but he decided to come to us because he sort of already had that previous relationship. Ed sort of came to us on a whim. We saw that he was looking for a team. It was dumb not to go for someone like Eds again, a top 100 player, brilliant streamer. So no-brainer, had to approach him. Sable was already with us from the academy side again. Wit was already with us from late last FIFA, so he came on as head of FUT and helped a lot with recruitment. And then we have our academy players in sort of Briggsy, ZJ, who are a bit too young to compete at the moment, but when they're of age, hopefully can move up into the main team roster. And obviously Jordan, who also competed at E-Prem with Wit and Sabre, and that's how they sort of all know each other. They're quite good friends.
Yeah, and I think that's really important as well. If you have a group of players that really know each other, then they can really just come into the organisation and really gel together. Obviously, it's about teamwork and things. I'm sure Disconnected in the future will take part in team competitions as well as solo competitions. So it's all about having that kind of teamwork aspect to it. So I think that's really helpful to have.
I mean, to be honest, I'm surprised they don't all hate each other, because they all knocked each other out at Man City E-Prem.
Yeah.
You'd think that if you got knocked out, you'd be a sore loser, but no, these guys bonded over it, if anything. But I don't know, I've never been to a LAN tournament, so...
What does that show to you, though, that these players that do work together, they are competitive in their own aspect, but they do want to work together and they want to compete for the organisation?
It's a shock, because if you know the FIFA community, you know it's extremely toxic. You lose a game and you hate the other person, so that's just on champs, you know, something that happens every weekend. So I can only imagine sort of the anger that they must have felt, or the disappointment that they must have felt when they knocked each other out at E-Prem. But surprisingly, they didn't. They made good friendships, and now hopefully we can develop them all as better players working together. I mean, I definitely don't want them knocking each other out again, which is why there's a subclause basically meaning that two people can't compete at the same or for the same E-Prem team. I'm just really proud and sort of delighted that they didn't all end up hating each other, and that we've managed to come this far and hopefully go a lot further helping each other as opposed to sort of tearing each other down. So,
well, FIFA 20 was a big year for a lot of organisations, a lot of difference. Obviously, with the pandemic, unfortunately, has prevented a different style of competitive gaming, to say the least. How excited are you for FIFA 21? Obviously, the challenges are the pandemic, of course, but this interview will be going up as Weekend League. The first Weekend League of FIFA 21 will be starting. How excited are you for the year?
I mean, we have had a rocket start, to be completely honest with you. Some of the teams that the boys have already put together make me weep. Like some of the players that they have. I'm coming in there. I mean, I was lucky to pack Neymar, you know, and I was thrilled about that. But these guys are sitting with like Cristiano Ronaldo's, Mbappe's, Neymar's, Kevin De Bruyne's, and it is a little bit filthy to have that in the first, you know, week of FIFA game. But these boys have grinded. I mean, I literally only see them on FIFA. They're not doing anything else. So no, I'm excited. I think that it's going to be a good season, especially if we can hit off well in Weekend League.
Having Wit as your head of foot as well, to be able to train and guide the academy players.
Speaking of Wit, he actually drew Tex. I mean, I don't even know who Tex is.
Drop that in there, will you? Drop that
best
in there.
Players, exactly. One of the best players in the world, and Wit drew to him. It's a bit of a pity that Wit isn't competing, but it's also a blessing because he's super experienced, really good at the game, and he can bring a lot of that inside knowledge about how the in-game mechanics actually work. And I think that will help the players develop massively. I mean, they're already good players. There's no question there. I mean, they've hit top 100s. They've been to E-Prem. You know, as a ranger, so they're all incredibly talented players, and with that extra coaching, training and support of us, hopefully we can hit new highs.
Thank you very much for your time, Turtle. Appreciate your time for us on this Founder Spotlight. Next week will be the head of foot, DJ Witt. We'll be going into behind the scenes of DJ Witt, how it was like as a competitive player and how is the step up as well for being a coach for Disconnected. I'll see you once again next week.
Big up DC.